It seems these days people struggle to find time to get things done. It seems like there's never enough time. And in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 time management tips, and you're going to learn how to manage your time more effectively and efficiently so that you're more productive and get the most out of your time. So if this is something that you're interested in, you're going to want to stick to the end for some really practical tips. My name is Yvonne and welcome to my channel. This channel is about personal growth and personal transformation. So if you want to improve the quality of your life, click the subscribe button. Let's get right into it. You know, the first way to get more out of your time is to begin seeing time as a scarce resource. You see, time is more precious than money. And it requires a mindset shift to see time as more valuable than money. And that mindset, it has really helped me to make better choices. I had to start with changing the way I think about time as well. Before, I used to spend all this time on activities that really didn't get me to where I wanted to be. A lot of busy activities that made it seem like I was doing something, but not really impacting the bottom line. Until I realized something that I wanted to share with you today, and that's that highly successful people think about time differently. So we want to learn to think that way too if we want to be successful. They realize that time is a scarce resource. Successful people see time more valuable than money. And their way of thinking is, hey, you can always get more money, but you can never get back your time. You can lose money, but you can always get that back. But time, once it's spent, is completely lost. You can't go back. So I want you to begin thinking about things in terms of your time. For example, how much is your hour costing you, and what is your hour worth to you? So having that wealthy mindset and having that shift in perspective is key when it comes to time management and productivity. And there are things that you're working on right now, for instance, that you can delegate to somebody else. There are also activities that, you know what, they're no longer relevant to you. And maybe you can eliminate them so that you're able to free up your times for things that you actually enjoy or things that are going to bring you a better return for your investment. For instance, I hire somebody to clean my house because I need to focus that time on building my business. And because I see time as my most valuable resource, more important than money, I don't mind paying someone to clean the house so that I'm able to focus on building my business in that time. So would I rather clean my house for an hour or build on my business for an hour? Knowing that I don't have much time during the day, I'm going to try to be most effective and efficient with my time and invest my time on the bottom line. You see what I mean? And so let's do an exercise to really put this into practice. I want you to write down 3 activities. I want you to really think about this. What are 3 activities that you do regularly that maybe you could begin to either eliminate or delegate? Next to that activity that you do regularly, okay, I want you to write down literally the words eliminate or the word delegate. Then write down what activity you can do instead that can get you a better return for your investment. So for instance, you could do this for your personal and you could do this for your work. Maybe you're spending a lot of time at work on doing this task, maybe in an Excel spreadsheet that you have to do this, that, and the other to get some data. And that is something maybe you can begin to delegate, because that you can use your time better on bottom line things. It's maybe stuff that you have to do, but it isn't really something that's affecting the stuff that you actually have to do to get for your job description, for instance. Or maybe it's a personal thing, like I mentioned, house cleaning or anything else going on that you feel that, hey, you know what, it's if I could just have the time to do this, and this, for instance, as my priority, and then eliminate the rest, if I could just focus my time on these things, that's going to affect my bottom line. That's going to really make an impact in my life. Now, let's go into the second way to get more out of your time. The second way to get more out of your time is to learn to prioritize. One thing that I've had to learn the hard way is prioritizing my time wisely. And that means you have to step back and be mindful of what's the most important task that absolutely needs to get done. Prioritizing your to-do list, and although everything in that list is important, like I said before, not everything in that to-do list has an equal weight of importance, you see? So I want you to think in terms of what are your top 3 priorities. One way that has worked for me is to prioritize my list of goals. So what I do is I break down my annual goals into what needs to be accomplished in the next 3 months. So then I break that down further to what needs to happen in the next month, in the next week, and in the next day, right? Now that I'm clear with what my goals are, my job is to break down the activities that need to be done that really line up to those goals. So that's one way you can say, because a lot of times people are like, oh, well, everything's important. Okay, but how does everything line up to your goal? I evaluate how I spend my days and dedicate time to what I value. So, and I like to review my activities for the week, and I'll put it in my calendar based on what is important to me. So now what I do is I put the activities into my daily calendar. So that's where a calendar comes in, and you want to allocate a day and a time for that activity. Because I took the time to capture my goals and break them down into daily activities, I see how what I do each day contributes to that overall goal. And I see that there's a compounded effect of doing the small things each day. So what you can also do is evaluate how you spend your days and dedicate time for what you value. Now that you've identified what your priority is, you're not just going to jump into a to-do list. You're going to step back and you're going to work on the activities based on your priority. And that is going to help you to stay focused. Now, let's go ahead and do an exercise. I want you to write down what your top 3 goals are for the year. Write down what are your top 3 goals. Then, after you write down those top 3 goals for the year, I want you to take each big goal and break them down so that you can accomplish it in the next 3 months. What can you accomplish in the next 3 months towards your big goal? In the next 3 months. You don't have to break down the whole year because I know that could be a lot and overwhelming. So I just want you to write down the top 3 goals and then what can you do in the next 3 months towards that goal? Then break that down further into what can you accomplish in the next month. Then what can you accomplish in the next week, and then break that down into daily activities. The third way to get more out of your time is to find a home for every task by putting it on your calendar. You want every task to have a day and time of when you're going to do it. So get into the habit of using a calendar to capture all your activities. Don't just keep it in your head or create random lists. Instead of having your activities in a random list, take your to-do list and make a home for each activity. Each activity on your to-do list needs a home. So when you put your activities in a calendar, you're actually carving out that time and making a home for it. And it doesn't have to, it doesn't really matter what tool you use, whether it's a paper calendar or a digital one. What's important is to ensure that you have a home for each task. So if your task is on a list or in your head, it's going to be easier to get distracted and procrastinate or have other things to do. A calendar is what highly successful people use in order to be outstanding achievers. So let's do an exercise. If you don't have a daily planner or a calendar, I want you to consider taking time to shop for one. Get yourself a planner, whether it's digital or paper, and then I want you to look at your to-do list, and for each item on your list, okay, that actually lines up to your goal, that's a priority, and others that are other priorities and other things you have to get done, that's fine. Find a home for it. When I say find a home, I mean put it on your calendar. So find a day and time and write down that this is when you're going to dedicate time to get that activity done. Now, the fourth way to get more out of your time is to time travel. You want to time travel to the future to observe what your future self did to achieve your goal. Now, there's a version of you that has successfully achieved your goal. You want to get a sense of that future self. When you find yourself procrastinating and getting distracted, stop what you're doing and get grounded and get a sense of your future self that has accomplished that next level. So let's do an exercise. Let's do a journal writing exercise. I want you to imagine in your mind's eye your future self, that next level version of you that has accomplished your goal. I want you to get a sense of how that future version of you thinks, how you act, what you say, how you behave, what your energy really feels like, and what you want now that you've accomplished your goal. So write out in a few words, what does that next level version of me say? How do I act? How do I think? How do I behave? And what do I want at this level? What's your energy like? Now, the fifth way to get more out of your time is to learn to say no. You know, the word no is a full sentence. At the end of the day, what you're really trying to do, okay, when we talk about time management, is align your time with your goals. Success demands singleness of purpose, and you want to stay focused on your goal and also remain flexible with your approach. So focus on your goal, and the approach to get there, you may need some flexibility. But the point is to stay focused on your goal. As opportunities get presented to you, you want to ask yourself, does this activity support my goal? Does this activity support what I'm trying to do and where I'm trying to go in my life? If so, great, go ahead. You want to have the singleness of purpose. So if the activity does not support your overall goal and it requires significant time and dedication, then maybe it's an opportunity for you to learn to use the word no. Many times we feel bad when we have to say no to somebody or to reject an invitation. But I'm going to share this. No, like I said earlier, is a full sentence. You don't have to feel like you need to provide a reason or an excuse for yourself after saying that word. You can say, no, thank you. I won't be able to make it. That's it. It's that simple. No is the most powerful word you can use when it comes to your time. And get comfortable. Getting comfortable with declining invitations and setting boundaries with a simple no. That's an essential part of healthy relationships. Really being authentic and feeling genuine happiness. So being clear about what you're not going to do brings you clarity and direction by reinforcing your existing commitments to yourself. And it takes courage to say no for anyone who consistently prioritizes other over themselves. So when you say yes to others, make sure that at the same time, you're not saying no to yourself. So here's an exercise. Let me give you an example to kind of put this into perspective, because I know sometimes examples really bring these points to life. Let's say, for instance, that you're on a budget and you work hard and you're on a budget and you're trying to save for something special for your family. Maybe a family vacation, let's say. Then a family member comes and they are the type of people that maybe are not as financially put together. And they're in some situation again. Because a lot of times we have personalities in our family that or friends that are just like that. And they need to borrow somebody. And by the way, they need to borrow X amount to get them out of this X situation, or maybe they want to start a new business and they would love you to help, yada, yada, yada. Well, you have a budget and you have a plan for that budget to save for family vacation. But you end up deciding to give them the money. That's saying yes to someone and saying no to yourself. You just said no to yourself just because you felt bad for your friend or family member and giving them the money that you actually didn't have because that money was allocated for something else. You see? So that's what I mean when I say, when you say yes to someone, make sure you're not saying no to yourself, because a lot of times we'll overextend ourselves and we'll say, give to others financially. Well, we have plans, and maybe we do have the money, but there's plans for that money, right? There's a purpose for that. And then we're trying to build something up here. And so by giving it away, we're saying no to ourselves. We're depleting ourselves. And that doesn't feel good. That's not how we want to do things. We give from our overflow. Okay, so we can't give from an empty cup. When you say yes to something, yes. Oh, let's say someone, a family or friend has a situation, and let's say you want to help them, and you have a budget and you have extra beyond your budget, right, to allocate to other things like charity. Yes, then in that case, saying yes to that individual is saying yes. It feels aligned, soul, body, spirit. It feels good. Then yes, go ahead. So that's what I mean when I say make sure you're not saying no to yourself when you say yes to others. So let's do an exercise. I want you to write one thing that you do that you don't really want to do, that you're spending time on. Next to that one thing, write down how you're going to begin to say no to that activity and yes to yourself. For instance, maybe it's an extra project that you got involved in that maybe you were interested in at the time, but now you're no longer interested in doing. It can be maybe any obligation that you're involved in that deep in your heart, you do it out of obligation because you should do this, not because you really want to. Maybe it's a holiday tradition, for instance, that you've always questioned, or you just kind of did because other people kind of got involved and you felt you had to do it. You always question why, but you know what? It no longer makes sense to you to keep this tradition that others are kind of imposing on you. Or maybe it's an event like a wedding or a family reunion or a conference that you know what, you really don't want to attend, but you feel you should out of obligation to your friends or family, or out of, again, tradition. I want you to be honest with yourself. I remember personally when I worked in corporate, my manager was really pressuring me to attend this team event. And rightly so, he was excited about the team event, no problem, right? But to be honest with you, I honestly didn't feel like going. I worked remotely, so it meant taking an early flight to attend that event and then a late flight to get back home. And I honestly felt obligated to go. But after a few weeks of feeling anxious and nervous about this, then I confronted my manager. And I did what I'm telling you to do. I learned to say no. And I said, you know what? I'm not really able to make it. It's not something that I really, that I can go to, that I'm interested in going to. And you know what? It ended up being no big deal. He said, that's fine. I understand. They had their team event, right? And I felt relieved because I got to stay home with my husband and children. And I was honest with him. I said, you know what? I have small kids, and I really need to be home with them. So at this time, this doesn't make sense for where I am personally, to go to that team event. And he understood. So what I want you to really keep in mind is you own your time, and you don't need to feel obligated to go ahead and give your time away. This is not a charity. Your time is valuable and it's precious. And once you give it away, it doesn't come back. So I want you to be really purposeful with how you use your time. Don't just give it away. So in conclusion, the 5 ways you can get more out of your time is to first, begin seeing time as a scarce resource. Second, learn to prioritize. Third is to find a home for your activities in your calendar. And fourth is to learn to time travel to align with your future self. The fifth way is to learn to say no to others so that you can say yes to yourself. Check out my Goals Mastery program if this message resonated with you and you'd like more clarity in life. And this course is really going to help you really to define and align with your goals, with really setting a strong foundation, with setting a vision, a North Star, and a mission, a way to really achieve that. With goals as well that really support your vision and mission in life. A lot of people struggle when it comes to finding their purpose. So this course is really going to help you to map out a strategic plan with action steps so that you can get real results towards your goals as well. And, also I want to share with you that journal writing is a tool that has helped me in my self-improvement journey. And I know we had an exercise in journal writing. That's why I created a custom design journal that's really going to help guide you with journal prompts. I also have inspirational quotes and motivational affirmations to support you along the way. Click on the link in the description box below to collect your favorite journals. Also, it's always great to have inspirational and motivational reminders to keep you moving forward towards your dreams and goals. So click on the link below to choose your favorite custom design gift for yourself, family, and friends in my online merch store. And if you've enjoyed this video and want to improve the quality of your life, click the subscribe button to level up, and I'll see you on the next one. Oceans of love and light. Till next time.